Yeah, just really proud of our a team effort to win a tough road game in East Carolina this past Saturday in front of a hostile environment. And we have a resilient football team that never gives up. And we made the plays to turn that victory in Greenville. We have a short week to prepare for South Alabama this week. We look forward to starting Sun Belt play this Thursday night at the Rock in front of our fans, in front of our students. And it's going to be on national TV on ESPN. So quick turnaround, but our kids are excited to play on ESPN.
All right, thank you, Coach. As a reminder, members of the media, if you have a question, just go to reactions and raise your hand. I will start off with Sam.
Coach Clark, you talked about the resolve of the team this past week. Was there anything you said to the team when you guys went down 16-0 against East Carolina, or anything kind of some of your leaders on offense or defense stepped up and said to the team to kind of keep everybody firing on all cylinders and then come back with that 21 straight points?
Yeah, it's you can't start a game off any worse than what we did, and we kind of regrouped and told them we have to play one play at a time and one moment at a time. And I think our kids really buy into that theory of each play has its own life, and do the very best you can that play and move on. So our kids, came back and made some great plays, played better on defense after the first quarter, and our offense was moving the ball, so it gave us a chance to win the game.
And then with it being a short week, Coach, I'm sure you've taken a look at South Alabama already, but how do you slow down an offense like South Alabama that put up, Sun Belt record 87 points this week on Thursday night?
Yeah, it's going to be a tough opponent. Coach Applewhite's done a great job down there this first year, and again, today's Wednesday for us, so we got back late Saturday evening, came straight to work, and started working on South Alabama. So still working on the game plan right now, but we know that we have to do a great job in all three phases. And you look at their offense, I think they're nationally ranked in yards per rush. Um, as far as explosive plays, they got explosive offense, great quarterback, really good receivers. And then on defense, again, they keep everything in front of you, and that's going to be tough to defend. But same thing, it's a short week, and we have to be prepared to get ready to go.
All right, let's go over to Billy. Billy?
Hey, Coach. Just talking about your offensive performances last week, Christian and Caden both going over 100 yards and receptions, and you had, four different guys with five or more. What did you really see about Joey and the way he was able to spread the ball?
Well, Joey's he's a great leader. He's a great player for us. Again, he can be able to, he doesn't have one receiver he locks into. So we're going to spread around, give us what the defense gives us, but we have to do a lot better job at our running game. That was non-existence, and that's not who we are. But we'll play to our strengths. And again, the most important thing is a win, and that's what we accomplished. But we have to get some things corrected on offense to have a chance to win games this season.
All right, we'll go back over to Billy. Billy?
Yeah, Coach. And then just to kind of follow up with Sam's question, talking about South Alabama's offense, how vital do you think you guys getting that run game going this week will be in kind of controlling the tempo and time of possession?
Yeah, that's something we know. We know as a program, as offensive staff, that has to get corrected because, again, every time they touch the ball, they're scoring points. So we have to make sure we handle our business on our side of the ball and really protect our defense. And that was evident last week with East Carolina was averaging, I think they ran 97 plays versus Old Dominion, and they ran 55 against us. So a really good defense is a great offense. We have to make sure we protect our defense this week, Thursday night.
All right, back over to Sam.
And then last question for me, Coach. You obviously talked about the hostile environment at East Carolina this past week, but how important are those fans going to be on Thursday night at the Rock for you guys?
That's very important. Again, you look last week in Greenville, we had a lot of fans, and they could be heard. So very proud of App Nation, the way they support us, and this Thursday is no different. Again, we've been very successful here in weekday games and weeknight games that our fans show up. So we expect a sold-out crowd and to give us the advantage we need for home field advantage.
All right, we'll go over to Adam Rittenberg. Adam?
Hey, Coach, just wondering, a couple weeks into the season, how are the helmet communications and the sideline tablets going for you guys so far? Just being on the road, being at home, how's that been so far?
Yeah, I really like all the technology we have right now. It's kind of cheating in some ways, but again, you get instant feedback right on the sideline. You're not asking a player, "Hey, what did you see?" And he might give you the wrong answer to protect himself. So we find out right away what's happening. It's been great for us, for our quarterbacks, because again, we don't have to signal as much anymore. We can huddle and get the correct play call in. So very big for us this past week in Greenville to be able to huddle and get the call on the Joey and to run our offense.
Have there been any glitches or any issues, especially in those road games versus home?
There've been every game there's something's happened to them. So, but we were able to get those corrected. I think a battery went dead one time, a wire came loose, but it's still football, and we've coached a long time without the communications. And if something happens, we'll go back to how we've always done it. So, again, we'll take the chances with that because it's been really good for App State.
Great, thank you.
All right, thank you, Adam. Thank you, Coach. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was a good win for our team to be on the road. Good challenge. We knew Temple was a better football team than the record. They lost to a very good Oklahoma team on the road and a very good Navy team on the road. So it was a good victory to go up there.
All right, let's start off with Mike Barber. Mike.
Morning, Coach. Two quick ones on Virginia. Anthony Calandria, we saw him throw a couple of picks this past game. They believe he's gotten better with ball security. What are you seeing maybe different in him from last year to this?
Yeah, just more confidence. I think he's got a better grasp of their offensive system, what they want to do. I think they were building it around him. He's a dynamic player with the ball in his hands. I love the way he plays quarterback, and he's a good one. He definitely is the catalyst for their offense.
And then Chris Tyree is a guy who hasn't shown up yet in the stats, but if you saw their pass game, he had a 65-yard touchdown that gets called back. He's obviously got a ton of speed. What is the scouting report for a guy that they use in so many different ways?
Yeah, no doubt. You got to know where he's at. He's dynamic in the return game. He's just a tremendous football player, and we're obviously going to be very concerned about all their receivers. I think they're a very dynamic receiving core, and the tight end, he's a good player as well. So they got a lot of weapons surrounding the QB, and which is causing them to have a lot of success offensively right now. They've done a really good job and do a good job up front. So it's going to be quite a challenge for us.
Thank you.
Let's go over to Greg Mattia. Greg.
Hey, Tim, I'm just wondering from a big picture perspective, what does it mean to Coastal Carolina to get a Power 4 opponent on campus, and what's the excitement level surrounding this game?
Yeah, it's awesome. I think it's our fan base, the Conwave is super excited. Everybody's talking about it. It's going to be a great environment, probably one they haven't had in a long time. Maybe the BYU game, but that was during COVID and only 4,000 fans. This will be open, and so tickets are hard to come by. I can tell you that, and everybody's trying to get here. So it should be an electrifying event, and that's what college football is all about, man. At the end of the day, it's about the students and the fans and the players packing a college stadium on a Saturday afternoon and playing football, and it's going to be a great game to coach in.
And just on your running game, what's Christian Washington giving your run game? Did you guys know he would be as productive as he is coming in from New Mexico?
Well, we knew he'd be a productive player. We have a lot of belief in him, and he's provided just stability. He's very consistent in what he does. Maybe not be the most flashy guy, but he's very, very consistent. He's tough. He can catch. He can block. So he brings all three elements to the game, and you don't have to really sub him out or do anything. And so we're very, very fortunate and pleased to have him.
Got it. Thank you.
Let's go over to Adam Rittenberg. Adam?
Hey, Tim, I'm just wondering how the helmet communications are going now and the sideline tablets a few weeks into the season, and how you guys and the players have adjusted to that so far.
Yeah, they're going great. I mean, what a cool advantage, and I guess neat toys to play with during the game. But we haven't had any issues. Everything's been really smooth. Our equipment and technology people have done a great job. We've played 2 road games and had no issues. Played a home game, had no issues. The biggest thing for us that we can constantly, I keep talking to our guys, is don't get so engrossed with it. You still got to coach during the game. You still got to communicate with the players as opposed to just watching the game and trying to figure out what's going on and then make the connections. You still got to be engaged. So, but I love it. I think it's been great.
I know some coaches have talked about whether a team huddles or not, and that might be a difference in how it's used. How have you, just from a defensive perspective, how is that sort of factored into the types of offenses you guys are facing?
Obviously we played Jacksonville State. They were at warp speed as fast as you can go, and I think certainly that helps. When a team huddles, I don't know as much because you got time to communicate it, you got time to see it defensively. Right now, offensively, it's probably the reverse. When you're huddling, you can talk more and get more things communicated to your quarterback through to your offensive players, right? And whereas if you go no huddle, you lose that communication element. So there's advantages and disadvantages depending on what you do.
Thanks.
Let's go over to Sam. Sam.
Hey, Coach Beck. Obviously, maybe the chunk plays weren't there as much from the receivers this past week, but what does it say about Ethan to be able to get it done with his legs as well, to rush for nearly 100 yards this past weekend?
Yeah, I thought Ethan played a very smart football game. He threw the ball down the field when he had him, and when he didn't have him, he made really good decisions with the football, and by running, he created first downs. That puts a lot of stress on the defense, right? Hey, cover him deep, stop the run. Oh, by the way, the quarterback might run too. So, at some point, the dam breaks somewhere defensively, and somebody doesn't do their job, and you create a big play. Patience is important, right? Winning the football game is important. They're not always going to be pretty, but at the end of the day, nobody's going to care. Nobody's going to look back in game 3 and say, we didn't have any big plays. At the end of the day, they're going to look and see it was a W. And so you got to find ways to win. You got to find ways to win on the road. You got to find ways to win against teams that are backs are against the wall and they're fighting for everything that they got. And I was proud of our guys to be able to do that.
And then, Coach Beck, you guys are off to a 3-0 start. What are one or two keys to this game this week to be able to make that 4-0?
I think number one is we just got to play fundamentally sound football. Like at the end of the day, it still comes down to blocking, tackling, running, throwing, catching. Whoever does that better and protects the football is probably going to have a greater chance to win the game than the other team. And and that's and play with fanatical effort, right? Those two things. To me, it really doesn't matter who you play. Doesn't matter where you play, what uniforms you wear. It really comes down. Football is very, very simple. We as coaches, we're the guys who screw it up.
All right. Thanks, Sam. Thank you, Coach. Appreciate your time.
All right. Appreciate you. See you guys.
All right. Yeah, obviously coming off of open week, bye week after a big win, week 2. So felt like we maximized our open week. We were able to really work on ourselves and work ahead. Thought the attitude and the mentality is something we're continuing to grow. We're excited about, playing the number 1 team, Texas, at Texas on our first road game of the year. Questions?
All right. Thank you, Coach. Just a reminder to members of the media, if you have a question, just go into reactions and raise your hand. We'll be happy to call on you. We'll start off with Sam. Sam?
Coach Vincent, you obviously coming off of an open week. What are a couple of things that you feel like your team got out of that bye week to kind of prepare for Texas and really just to get ready for the rest of the season as well?
I mean, the biggest thing is, we've played 2 games with this group, and we've added a lot of players in the offseason. The biggest thing, I think, is us just continuing to clean ourselves up, continuing to execute, having precision timing with everything that we're doing and being able to execute at a high level, an elite level, a fast level. So really, we're still a work in progress. We've got a long way to go. We're still getting guys, on the same page in some situations. But I felt like we've really cleaned ourselves up and to moving forward in this real 4-game stretch that we've got, starting with Texas.
And then, Coach, with Ewers going down this past week, Manning coming in a little bit for Texas, does that present an additional challenge for you guys to potentially be prepared for 2 quarterbacks?
I don't think. I think they both run the same system. They're both elite quarterbacks. Not at all. I mean, we've got to prepare. They're both very similar. They're both excellent quarterbacks. So, no, it doesn't really change our preparation.
And then, Coach, what are, a couple keys for you guys going into this game against Texas to be competitive and hopefully come out with that victory?
this being our first road game of the season and going into the number one team in the country and over 100,000. The biggest thing I think for us is that first 6 to 8 minutes is a big key to the game. Being able to settle down, we've got to get adjusted to their speed and really their power early. They're big, they're long, they're fast, they're physical, they're coached extremely well. They're very detailed. So we have got to make sure we can brace for that first really 6 to 8 minutes. We can't make a critical mistake. In the kicking game, we got to make sure we have great, ball security. We need to get a takeaway. We need something to happen there that first to 6, 8 and stay settled down and get adjusted to the environment.
We'll go over to Billy. Billy?
Hey, Coach. I know, you want to look week to week and the opponent that's right in front of you, but I'm just curious, your kind of mindset where immediately after this week, you jump right into Sun Belt play and it's week after week after week. Is there any kind of thought on, what are a couple things that you guys are working on specifically with Texas where you feel like that can kind of, like the bye week, you're working on you and how can that move forward throughout the season?
This game is going to be fast. It's going to be physical. It's going to be, you're going to have the environmental elements, adversity, which, I think certain teams thrive under and they enjoy that. I think going to Texas and playing Texas as our first road game of the year is going to help prepare us as we go into Troy that next week, and you're playing the defending back-to-back Sun Belt champs. I don't know if there's anything better than what we're going into this week that's going to prepare us to go into, Sun Belt.
Thank you, Billy. And I think, Coach, appreciate your time today.
Absolutely, guys. Thank you. Go Warhawks.
Yep. Just complete our bye week and a good weekend for our guys, I think, to just rest, recover a little bit and be ready to jump right back into this. So a good start to the week with today's practice and, excited to get rolling here with a tough UNC team that we're going to see on Saturday.
All right, thanks, Coach. We'll start off with Mike Barber. Mike?
Morning, Coach.
Morning.
What have you seen so far on video from Omarion Hampton and what he's able to do?
Yeah, a lot. There's a lot in there. I mean, I think he was leading the nation in, yards after contact, the first 2 weeks. And you watch him in that Minnesota game, and he is just very challenging to bring down, period. Their O-line is huge, and their tight ends are very good. They're now rotating 2 quarterbacks through. They got receivers. There's a whole lot in here. And they're not just one-dimensional through him, but when it is his time to shine, he does just that.
And then, if you don't mind, Lyle Hemphill, where do you guys go back to? Delaware Valley? Like 20-something? Yeah. What's the kind of history of your relationship and how you got him on staff?
Yeah, so I started off, I spent 2 years up in at a Norwich University, and in the third year of my career, I was at Delaware Valley College, and that's where Lyle had just graduated from college, when I got a chance to run into him there, and then we kept in contact, ever since. So that's how it all kind of started. But every year I went and visited him when he was at Hofstra and other places, and he and I kept in good contact through the years.
And then how did you kind of attract him to JMU? Why was he the guy to run your defense there?
Well, he and I had been in really good contact the whole way through. And obviously at Duke, the head coach left, and, Lyle was trying to figure out what was going to be his next steps. And obviously he knew and had played here numerous times at JMU. So he was very excited for the opportunity to join the program.
Thank you.
Let's go over to David Teal. David?
Bob, you had some pretty notable games against FBS opponents during your Holy Cross time. You darn near beat BC and Army last year. You beat Connecticut and Buffalo. Did your players then approach a game against an FBS program differently? And if so, do you sense the same thing when a group of 5 programs such as yourself is getting ready to play a power conference team such as Carolina?
Yeah, I think, you're certainly you don't need to dial many people in, when you're playing against the FBS opponent and you're an FCS team. And I think right here with this running back and this offense and this defense, there's not many people we have to really dial in and, to be very motivated throughout the week. So that's something that just naturally typically occurs. The adverse is true the other way sometimes. So you do have a little bit of, depending on how they go through their week, we know how we're going to go through ours, but we have to go into this game believing and knowing that we can win this game. That's it. And we have to make sure that every single thing we do throughout the week, is adding value to that and improving us individually so that we can improve as a unit and then we can improve as a whole. And that is the approach that we're taking into this, is that every little thing has to be buttoned up very, very cleanly. The communication has to be phenomenal, and our intentionality in every single thing we do, from meetings to walkthroughs to practice, has to be near perfect, and that is exactly the way we want to run our program anyway. But this is a perfect moment in time for this game to show up and for us to really put those things under the microscope.
I'm guessing they are already aware, but do you remind them of Group of Five success just this season against power conference, Northern Illinois over Notre Dame, Vegas over Kansas, Memphis over Florida State? Do you put that in their minds?
Yeah, we have not yet put that in their minds, but I think there's a lot out there that, it seems like anybody could beat anybody on any weekend right now. There's so much, I don't know if it's parity. I'm not exactly sure, but there is just, I think a lot of people are in the same boat, going through a lot of new teammates on their program, and they're trying to figure it out and trying to get it to work together and gel together. And I think a lot of people are in that similar situation. But yes, those guys are very aware of those, those wins that have occurred. And, our intention is not, to go down there and put up a nice fight. That's not what we're going to do. We're going down there to win this football game.
Thanks. And I was negligent not to mention Georgia State beating Vandy on Saturday.
Yeah, congrats to them. How about it?
I'll go over to Mike Barber. Mike.
Yeah, I didn't see another hand, so I'm going to steal a second turn, Bob. I hope you don't mind.
No.
What do you think the identity of your defense is, and what do you and Lyle want it to be long term for the program?
Yeah, I think for us, we go through 3 or 4 different things each week, goals that we have to accomplish for that week to be able to win that game, and being able to stop the big play has got to be a big one that we're able to do, whether it be because we are, providing pressure on that quarterback, whether it be because, our coverage is very good, or whether it be because we have depth in our safety position, whatever it might be. That's what we have to talk about, is the X play, and not being in a situation where you're giving up, X plays each game. And we've done a nice job of that. Now with that comes with, you might give up a couple things underneath, and you have to be okay with that at times. And you just got to say, which one are we defending? Because we can't defend it all. When you add in this week, the quarterback run game that they have in there, the tight end that could do what he could do, and you almost need 2 hats to tackle this, kid at running back every time he carries the ball. So at some point you got to pick your poison, and you have to be more aggressive. But ultimately for us, we want to be a bunch of playmakers that are exciting to watch, that are inspired to watch, and that fly around this field, and we call an aggressive game. And that's ultimately what we want to do.
And how much of that aggressive mentality is being aggressive in the turnover front of, I know you want to protect the ball offensively, but defensively be stripping, be trying to jump routes.
Yes, 100%. And that's something that we put a huge emphasis on every single day that we go through some sort of circuit of that. And we're just making sure that that's ever present in their minds. So, I'd like to see a little more out of it as well. I know we've been able to get the ball back, but there's certain moments where we could take another punch at a ball, or we could do some things that I think we just have to do, even more of this weekend.
Thank you.
All right, we'll go over to Sam. Sam.
Coach Chesney, you mentioned the keys to the week. What are some of those keys for you guys this week going into UNC?
Well, defensively, it's the X play, right? The tight end and the receivers are very, very good. We got to be able to tackle. I mean, we can't put enough of an emphasis on that all throughout the bye week. And then again today, and we'll continue to do that as this week goes on, because there just cannot be moments where, we are approaching this running back softly. That can't happen. And offensively, we just got to get started. We got to start fast. And that's one of the biggest things that we're talking about at this moment. And that the start of practice, I thought we did a really nice job of that today. And then we just have to, be able to loosen up some defenses a little bit. We can't play with a 9-man box, and expect to be able to run into that thing. So we just got to do a little bit better and as coaches and execute a little bit better as players. And then we have to limit our procedural things that, sort of plagued us last week. And I think we'll do a really good job of that this week.
Thank you. Thank you, Coach. Appreciate your time.
All right. Thank you.
Yep. Obviously a disappointing loss, man, but I thought our kids played, extremely hard. I thought we had a good plan on each side of the ball. And in special teams, we have a really good football team, with really good coaches, and we get a bye week to, kind of get healthy and do some self-scout and get ready for Sam Houston. Question.
All right. Appreciate that, Coach. So a reminder, members of the media, if you're going to reactions, raise your hand. We'll be happy to call on you. Let's start off with Sam. Sam?
Coach, after a hard-fought game on Thursday night, what are a couple of keys to this bye week that you guys are hoping to get out of it in terms of improvement with the team leading into that Sam Houston matchup?
Yeah, I think it's always important to focus on your academics. It'll be big for our guys this week, and we played 3 games in 12 days, so that's always tough. So we want to get healthy and really do some deep dive on our self-scout and get a head start on Sam.
And then, Coach, obviously didn't go the way you wanted, but what were some of the key takeaways from the Arizona State matchup on Thursday night, and how do you kind of use that as a catapult for the rest of the season?
Yeah, I think on our student section, man, they were. I think we had over 9,000 students there, and I thought we showed very well on ESPN, which is important for the university and recruiting and those kind of deals. And then obviously, we had our moments in the game, in all 3 phases that we played really well. So, like I said, I don't think anyone lost any confidence. We got a really good football team and really good coaches. We just got to be more consistent and disciplined if we want to, beat someone the caliber of Arizona State.
Let's go over to Adam. Adam?
Hey, Coach. You got this bye week, but then you're going to have another kind of 2 games in 5 days situation after, and one of them being a conference game at Troy. How do you approach this bye week, and is it sort of a process where you're going to have to prepare? Are you preparing for 2 games as opposed to just one at this very moment?
Yeah. Fortunately and unfortunately, we had to kind of do that with the UTSA to Troy, and then we'll do the same thing with Sam to Troy. So I think, especially the way Sam's playing right now, I think it's going to be very difficult for us to do that, to get ready. And I think it's going to be more about us, especially early in the week. And then we'll get into some Sam stuff and then kind of grind it out like we did versus Troy, just kind of all hands on deck and staying up here all night, trying to get a good game plan for Troy. But Sam is playing so well right now, and it'll be a big time, probably a bowl game type atmosphere at NRG, and so we'll want to make sure we're ready for those guys.
Let's go to Sam. Sam?
Coach Kinne, you guys have obviously had 3 home games to open the season. How does the team prepare differently for an away game, like you said, that environment at NRG, and then obviously eventually getting out of the state of Texas and going over to Troy as well, the 2-time defending Sun Belt champs?
Yeah, it'll be different. Obviously, I love playing home games, but the game versus Sam will be like a neutral site, so we're not having to go to their place, which is nice. And I know our fans travel really well, so I expect that place to be full of Bobcats, and it'll be a really good atmosphere to play in. So, I think obviously anytime you play it on a short week and have to go to Troy, it's always challenging. So, but like I said, our focus right now is on ourselves and our academics and getting better. And then it'll be on Sam Houston.
All right. Thank you. And thank you, Coach. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Very happy for getting a victory versus Vanderbilt this past weekend. I thought our coaches, players, everyone involved in the organization did an outstanding job of getting prepared for the game. We thought it was going to rain and practiced a lot of different wet ball scenarios, but it didn't, thank the Lord. Just really happy for this community, happy for the fan support, And we're looking forward to this bye week of getting some guys healed up, rested up to get ready to continue with the remainder of our schedule. Got any questions?
Yes, sir. We'll start off with Brady. Brady, please go ahead.
Hey, Dell.
Hey.
Wanted to ask about Raheem Laney. You got that touchdown in the third quarter, and obviously you weren't here for the entirety of his journey, but a guy has been having to bide his time and getting a big moment there in the third quarter.
Yeah, that was an outstanding catch. Really good job by the quarterback of buying time and making a throw with a different arm angle. Laney has been continually improving as a player. His knowledge has definitely improved and increased, which we needed. He's a bigger, longer receiver with great speed, and his role with our offense and special teams will continue to grow because his knowledge has grown. So really happy for Rock and him providing a spark and that opportunity, maximizing that opportunity.
And then the defense, 22 of the 32 points given up in the fourth quarter, and there were a couple of short fields there, but was there anything when you look back at the game that maybe started adding up in a bad way, letting Vanderbilt get some points?
Yeah, it all started with the interception that we had to kind of give Vanderbilt a little bit momentum. So it really started with the offense. We do got to learn how to play better defense when it's a change of pace and really lock in when things go awry and lock in on that moment. But that was more offense than just defense. We did not execute on offense, got a holding call that put us really behind the sticks. Then we end up punting the ball right back to Vandy. So you can't go 3 and out, can't give teams like that short fields. But I was proud of our guys for being resilient, answering the bell and not panicking, and just having trust and faith in the plan and that everything was going to be fine. And, that showed up against Chattanooga as well. So answering the bell, answering the call, regaining momentum is something that we preach, and they're believing in that process, and they're not panicking when things or momentum changes. And that's what you got to have. That's what you got to do.
Go over to Matt Cummings. Matt.
Hey, Coach. How you doing?
Hey, Matt.
So other than the extra week of preparation for Georgia Southern here in a couple weeks, what is this bye week and this weekend going to look like for you and the team?
For us, we're just working on ourselves. We're not really working on the opponent yet. So we're going to try to continue to develop our entire roster by doing a lot of two-spot, more so almost like camp-type work. Our players will be off on Saturday. And then we'll get back to work on Sunday and start working on the next opponent. But we do get a chance for our guys some of our injured guys to heal up. That was a physical battle with Vanderbilt. So, getting extra time in the weight room, recovery, treatment are going to be very vital this week to try to get our team back to speed from a health standpoint.
Let's go over to Sam. Sam?
Coach McGee, what was the emotion on the sideline as Vanderbilt erased that 12-point lead over that short time frame there, and then kind of how are your guys able to respond and the coaches able to keep everybody locked in for that game-winning drive coming after that?
Yeah, everyone was talking composure. That's one of our DNA traits, and it came up. We always talk about win the next moment. You can't carry moments over, and that came up as well. So our kids really believe in the messaging that we're implementing with our team, and those words, composure, next moment, was echoed when things happen in a bad way. So as long as we keeping the main thing and really locking in on ourselves and not the previous outcomes and not thinking about the past moments, then we'll be fine. We just talk about one moment doesn't have an identity. It doesn't carry over into the next moment. And, we got a chance to redefine the moment we're in. So it's just about winning that moment we're in. And our kids did an outstanding job on that 1-minute drive, and then the defense closing the game out.
And then coach defensively, Kevin Swint seemed to be all over the field for you guys in a lot of key moments. Was that a performance you saw out of him? And you see that type of guy that steps up in those big moments in big games?
Yeah, we really needed that. He was one of our players of the game on defense. Yeah, he was all over the field. Had a big sack to start the game that created the fumble, which started the momentum for us. And I can't say enough about his leadership throughout the week and how he takes coaching and also how he tries to lead by confronting and demanding the standard at practice and even with meetings and everything that we're trying to do as an organization. So really proud and happy for him, and just very content and happy that our team got the victory.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Sam. And thank you, Coach. Appreciate your time today.
All right. Thank y'all.
Yeah, very good win for our football team at home. Thank you to Eagle Nation for showing up and showing out. I thought it was an electric atmosphere, and probably our best team football of the year in all three phases, to hold an opponent to 14 points again, to be efficient on offense and while protecting the football has kind of been our staple right now. And so hopefully we can continue that, going to play a really good Ole Miss football team in Oxford this week. So with that, I'll take any questions that you got.
All right, we'll start off with Sam. Sam?
Coach Helton, you talked a lot about efficiency of your offense. Obviously, J.C. French, another super efficient performance, 17 for 23, took care of the football for you guys. Is that exactly what you guys have been looking for him coming out of camp and obviously in these first few weeks of the season as well?
Yeah, definitely. Anytime you have 110 passes and you have 0 interceptions, that's great efficiency as a quarterback. Plus, you're leading your football team down the field to score points, and that's why he won the job. He was protecting the ball tremendously while still pulling the trigger and being explosive, down the field. It was by far our most explosive game. I think we averaged 6.2 a play, which is a good stat. You really want 6.5 or better. That's an elite stat per play, but we continued to progress offensively while protecting the football. So it was good to see. We scored on 3 of the first 5 opening drives, and I thought the first drive in the second half was one of our best of the season, to be able to get that 3-score separation in the game. So proud of what the offense is doing right now. Hopefully it will continue.
Go over to Billy. Billy?
Yeah, Coach, and kind of building on your opening statement, you talk about using this last week moving forward into a quality opponent on the road. How important do you think the running game will be? Picking up 140 yards on the ground, getting a lot of guys touches, and nobody is really going to be new on the field heading into Mississippi.
Yeah, definitely. I think that balance is really important, especially when you're talking about a first-year starting quarterback. I think Coach Applewhite's done a really masterful job of really committing to that balance and, being able to get that 140 yards and winning the rush battle on the day, 140 to 112, was important. Plus, your running backs, as you get closer to that red zone, that's where they come to shine. And you look at O.J. Arnold as well as Jalen White. They had 4 touchdowns on the day, and one in the passing game with OJ matched up on a safety one time. So really good to see from our runners in complement with our offensive line. I think the most proud I know my dad, who's an offensive line coach. I'm an O-line coach's son. Anytime you have a 8 minute and 10 second drive to end a game with a touchdown with 10 runs and 3 passes, a 13 play drive, makes every O-line coach happy, and I think every defensive coordinator happy. So it was great to end the ball game that way. And we're going to have to do that at some point in time later in the season. It's going to come down to having to run the football to win the game, and it was good to see that at the end of the game.
We'll go over to Sam. Sam?
Coach, obviously this week game in hand, but do you feel it's going to be more important to get Jalen and OJ involved early and potentially more yardage from the run game moving forward? Obviously, they were able to punch in, like you said, the touchdowns, 3 on the ground and then the 4th in the passing game. But do you feel like getting them involved earlier and potentially seeing that rushing yardage total go up is going to be an important key for you guys moving forward?
Yeah, always. We've always taken what the defense has given us, Sam. You look at the first 2 games, and I really thought teams had come out to say, okay, hey, you got this new starting quarterback. He's only thrown 16 balls in a game. Let's go test him. And then all of a sudden, he has close to 300-yard games, and they say, whoa, okay, they still got the skill outside. Quarterback is completing the ball at a high rate. He's protecting the ball. And then you start seeing some running lanes open. And that's what happened in this game, is the ability to get some good box counts and be able to mix in the run and create a balance. I think we ended up with 33 runs to only like 27 passes. And so there was a great balance that was involved. Hopefully we can do that again. You are talking about an unbelievable defense in Ole Miss that's only given up 33 yards a game, only 3 points a game. They haven't given up a touchdown yet this year. So, we're going to have to do every imaginary thing we can, whether it's run or pass, to be able to move the ball against a really, really good defense.
And then Coach Helton, you kind of set it up there with that answer, but what are maybe one or two keys for you guys that you feel like would be keys to success against Ole Miss this weekend?
Yeah, they're really a complete team. There's no question they're a top 5 team in the country, if not higher. And when you look at the combination of elite offense, I've known Coach Kiff for a long time. He changed my life, bringing me to USC and taught me a lot of offensive football. They are doing the things with a Heisman Trophy candidate quarterback and great skill to be able to use tempo, be explosive, the balance of the run and the pass, as well as quarterback-driven runs, just playing really good offensive ball. We need to hopefully create a turnover or two, which they've been really good. Jackson has really protected the ball really well. So hopefully, we can get a turnover or two. Defensively, it's going to be, gosh almighty, can we make those first downs to keep it out of one of the most explosive offensive hands there are in college football right now? Them and Tennessee got the biggest separation of opponents in college football. And then hopefully, special teams wise, we've been playing really good football, is to keep that standard up high. Sometimes that's the difference in games. And so we're going to have to definitely play great in all 3 phases against a really good opponent.
Thank you. And thank you, Coach. Appreciate your time today.
All righty, guys. Take care. Hail Southern.
Yeah, coming off of a bye week, had to dodge a hurricane there. We're thankful that it was during a bye week, so didn't affect us too much. Got a lot of work done on us. And kind of naturally in a bye week you get a little bit of a jump start on the next opponent. And certainly, our next opponent is going to be the biggest challenge we've had this year. A lot of respect for Tulane as a program, what they've done the past few years. And certainly, for John Summerall and his staff and what they did at Troy, so he took over a really good football team, added some good players to it, and a bunch of good coaches in there. So naturally, it's a really good football team. It looks like it on tape, and we know they will be on Saturday when we play them.
I appreciate that, Coach. We'll start off with Adam. Adam.
Hey, Coach. You kind of alluded to the challenge Tulane presents, but you've coached against John recent years during his time at Troy, but is there anything so far that you're seeing different that the team's doing that presents a different challenge as to what you're used to seeing from a Troy type of team that he had for the last 2 years?
Offensively, they're a little different than they were at Troy. With I don't know how to say it at Troy, I thought they did a really good job. They played to their strengths. They had a quarterback that managed the game. They would shorten the game. They had a great running back, so they played on those strengths. At Tulane, they're a little bit different in that they've got a quarterback that's, I don't know how to say, he's pretty special. As a freshman, the kid is incredibly talented. He plays really good football for a freshman, and they're not shrinking the game. They're throwing it around. They're designing shots down the field, and he's hitting them. So, I think at Troy, they always had, 1 or 2 receivers that they kind of targeted. Here at Tulane, it looks like they've got quite a few, number 1, number 4, number 5, 87 at tight end. They've got some guys that they're stretching the ball down the field with, and the quarterback is pretty talented. So they're a little different offensively. Defensively is very much the same, it looks like. Aggressive, tough, physical defense. And that's what I I would expect from John. I wouldn't expect any less, and so they're really good on defense again. I just think the challenge here is they're probably a little more explosive on offense than maybe what they had been.
Over to Sam. Sam?
Coach, you alluded to, dodging the hurricane. What were some of those adjustments you guys had to make this past week during the bye week? Did you have to practice some days or, make some adjustments to timing or what were the things you had to do?
Yeah, our living down here, unfortunately, it's kind of par for the course. You're kind of part of living down here. So school closed on Tuesday afternoon. We were able to practice Tuesday afternoon, kind of before everything shut down. Wednesday, school was closed, and out of precaution, which you should do. You never know exactly where these hurricanes are going to go. They're not very predictable. We were shut down on Wednesday, so we kind of had everybody hunker down, kind of stay in place. By Tuesday afternoon, we felt pretty confident that we were going to miss the brunt of it. So encouraged our players to stay in town, just to kind of stay put, get the supplies they needed in case if they did lose power and things like that. We were fortunate, here in Lafayette, we didn't get the brunt of it, for sure. And then Wednesday, our school opened back up sometime afternoon, so we were able to practice again on Thursday. So we didn't miss a whole bunch. It was one day that we were gonna, kind of hook it up and go that we kind of got canceled. But in a bye week, sometimes it's not a bad thing. It's another day of rest. And that's not a bad thing. You don't get that a whole lot. So I think when you get an opportunity to do that, you just adjust. And it's like anything, you make a plan and it's always going to change, so it's just kind of part of it.
All right, let's go over to Adam. Adam?
Coach, two Louisiana teams. Can you talk about what this kind of game means for you on the recruiting trail, especially here, South Louisiana? This type of excitement that also comes around the game from a fan base side, but also on the recruiting side, what a matchup like this does for you guys in those regards?
Well, the first thing I'm going to say is this. I think we should play these games every year. It makes no sense, to me that we don't continue to try to play these games. Yeah, some years you get them, some years they might get you. It's just part of what it is. So I don't see how it's a bad thing. For the fans, it's exciting. This is a team that's right here in state that throughout the history of both of our programs, we play a lot of football games, and these games should continue. It's a really good football team. I think we have a good football team. We'll get an opportunity to see on Saturday, but I think that for us, it's going to be two good football teams playing against each other. It's always kind of unique, they've got some kids that we wanted. We've got some probably that they wanted. They've got some that maybe we didn't offer. We've got some that they didn't offer. And, so it's always kind of a interesting dynamic where, you've got all these kind of layers to it. But as far as recruiting goes, I firmly believe that kids pick a school because it's the best place for them, and that's what I tell them whenever we're recruiting them. You got to pick a school based on where you'd be happy being. And there's some kids that maybe, Tulane is for them, UL is for others, and that's okay. But it certainly is a good thing in recruiting whenever you can say, hey, look, we played head-to-head and we won. So I think anytime you have a chance to go head-to-head, and naturally we recruit a lot of the same kids. We're in the same state. So it's always a good thing, I think, whenever you get to play head-to-head. And again, I think to us, as much as anything, it's a team that the last couple of years, they've been on the national stage as far as the group of five schools go. And it's an opportunity for us to show that, we want to be there. That's what we want to be, in contention for the playoff spot. We want to be in contention for all these things that come with playing teams like Tulane. So, yeah, we need to play them. They're another group of five school that's in the state that I think has a great coaching staff, a really good roster. They've won a bunch of football games. It's nothing but a good thing for us. Our conference it's a hell of a schedule when you play our conference. Like, you're going to play really good teams. Well, you need to play some really good teams out of conference too. And you get a real idea of where you are. You go through fall camp and spring and all these things, and you're playing yourself. You don't really know who you are yet. First two games of the year, I think we won them like we were supposed to. But we haven't been challenged yet. We will be this week. We will be challenged, and it's going to be a really good football team, and we're going to have to handle the challenges that come with that and the adversity. And for the first time, we'll see how our team reacts whenever you are in a tough situation, whenever you're playing a team that it's going to be 4 quarters. It's going to be every drive matters. It's going to be every possession counts. So it's nothing but a good thing. It's a game we're truly excited about. I think for our fan base, it's great to get to play them, year in and year out. And I know for them, they got to be excited about it. So, the last 2 times we played them since I've been here, they got us both times, 5 overtimes in 16, and then they beat our tails in the bowl game in 18. So for us, it's a great opportunity to get to play them again and something we're looking forward to.
Appreciate that. And thank you, Coach, for your time today. I do appreciate it.
Yep. Thank you, guys.
Not at all. Good to see everybody again. I only want to start with it's amazing again what goes into. We had a bus trip last week, and this week we had a plane ride, and all that goes into what it takes to move a football team all the way to a place like Iowa City, and all that goes into the work and planning of our operations, administration, students, managers, all the above. And we traveled wonderfully. Our guys handled a plane trip very well, and it was a wonderful venue and certainly an emotional time to be a part of the tradition of the Children's Wave at the hospital up there. And I thought it was just wonderful for our fans, family, and players to be a part of that. Hats off to Coach Ferens and his staff in continuing to prepare the way he has for a number of years to give you a game plan in all 3 phases. It's very difficult to defeat. I'm very, very proud of our players and our staff for giving our guys the best chance to win that football game. We got it to a 4th quarter game, which is what it's all about on the road. Our players did that. We just fell short. We did not win the turnover margin, which is critical when you're going into a place in any game, but certainly in a place where it's an upset mode where you are favored to lose by as much as we were. And the way you flip those games is to find ways to win turnover margins. So we fell short. Certainly a lot to build on in positive ways, but many things to still fix, and we'll continue to do that with the same process that we do each and every week. And with that, I will take questions.
All right, appreciate that, Coach. We'll start off with Sam. Sam?
Coach, maybe for folks that haven't followed Troy as closely the past couple of years, obviously started 1-2 the past 2 years and came back to win the Sun Belt Championship each of those 2 seasons. Is that, something you talk to your guys about of, hey, a lot of the goals that we have for this team are still in front of us, regardless of the start that you guys have had to the season? And other things that maybe some of the veterans on your team that are still around can speak to from those past 2 campaigns and what we're able to do to turn that around and build some momentum going into conference?
Yeah, I think, it's already been brought up in some ways, like as you work through fall camp and early into the season. So I think it's something the guys are aware of. To be honest with you, I think it's a slippery slope at times to kind of use that in full year thinking. The guys are thinking about enough already, and there's enough pressure. The whole thing that I'm hoping our whole organization will fall into is just the process of what it takes to get better and improve. I think when you make it that way, it becomes week to week instead of a whole year, which can get heavy on them. But some of our veterans here that have been a part of winning, it certainly does fall back on them to at least let them find some belief and hope. Because unfortunately, when you lose, some of those things can take over in your mind about, oh no. And I think to continue to have hope and belief in the process of us and what they can accomplish together is critical, which is your point. So I think there's some things you can mention to pull from, but the big piece is hey, let's practice better. If we keep practicing better, which we've done over the last 3 weeks, we'll continue to play better. And sooner or later, those 2 will match on a scoreboard.
Let's go over to Adam. Adam?
Hey, Coach, what can you say about your special teams? You had the big punt return for the touchdown before halftime, and you guys took the lead and really, kept it a game in the 3rd quarter before it got away in the 4th. But what can you say about how important, especially against a team like Iowa, that your special teams played and keeping you guys in that game?
Yeah, I think, one, it was huge for us, again, in our systems on special teams because we challenged our special teams a lot these first 3 weeks, and especially last week, to take steps to helping us win games and blend offense and defense together, and they did that. They did that even more so in other phases, but the return certainly was the exclamation point, if you will. And it's a huge statement. I mean, let's face it, Iowa doesn't give up touchdowns in a return game. I don't know what the dates are. I'm sure Adam could spit those out very quickly of when the last time that's happened. I think it's 15 in the punt game on them, but their systems are wonderful. And for us to have held them up, got a favorable punt, right? And some things that went our way as well. But to have done what we did and put bodies on bodies in a return game and get a return tells you something about positive steps being taken. So it was a huge moment for us and something we need to build on.
We'll go over to Sam. Sam?
Coach Parker, you talked about the logistics and all that goes into a road game these past 2 weeks. How important is for you guys to get back in front of your fans at the Vet? And then what are maybe a couple of the keys to this matchup with Florida A&M to come out with a victory?
Yeah. Well, it is huge to get back home. We have 3 straight home games here coming to us on starting our conference and then on a short week. So it's good to get back around our great fans in the Vet for sure. I think for us to do that and gain momentum is critical. And then tell me again your second part of your question. I forgot.
Just a couple keys to the matchup with Florida A&M.
Yeah, sorry. I just want to make sure I answered the right thing. The first thing is complete mentality, which is on me. I think first off, Florida A&M is a championship football game. They're a football team that has won a championship last year. They know how to win. They've already played a Power 4 opponent in Miami. So they've been in that big stage. They will be very, very excited to come here and play and compete in our stadium against us. It'll be a great environment. They're bringing their band. I think our stadium is going to be full. So all things will set the stage for this to be a good football game. And so my job, and I think the biggest key of all this is to remove any narratives about who we're playing. They're a good football team. They're well coached. All 3 phases are wired up tight. We just watched them last night and today. So we've got to get our guys lost in the process of getting better and not worry about filling in narratives or feeling good about a couple attaboy texts that we've received saying, hey, we're proud of you guys and you look good against Iowa. Yeah, we're 0-3. And we need to play like a team that's starving to play a good football game this week, and that's it. And that's going to be my message the entire week.
Thank you. And thank you, Coach. Appreciate your time today.
Thank you all.
Yeah, excited to be back with you guys today. Disappointed in our loss this past week. We came out hot and played really well early, had a turnover, and battled back, had a chance. We cut it to a 1-score game, had a chance to cut it to a 1-score game again, thought we had. Stepped out of bounds slightly, and then 2 plays later, we have a protection check issue and turn it over, and it got back to a 2-score game. Hats off to South Florida, man. Really good football team. Got some things to clean up and some things to fix. Got a really good opponent this week. They're 0-3. Their backs are against the wall, but man, they won 9 games last year, won a bowl game, and coming off a really tough loss in overtime on the road to Eastern Michigan, who I think's been to 5 straight bowl games. So got a lot of respect for Jacksonville State, their history, their tradition, and also Coach Rodriguez and Coach Trickett and a lot of those guys, man, I've known for a long time. And we're 1-2 and, got a lot of football in front of us. We got some things we got to improve on. And we're looking forward to practicing this week and going up there to play. So with that, I'll open it up.
I appreciate that, Coach. We'll start off with Hunter Dawkins. Hunter?
Coach, how you doing? My one question for you is, what's the quarterback situation looking like this week? With is Tate still out, or are you going to try to include Ethan in a little bit? Where are we sitting at?
I think we're looking good at quarterback. We just threw for 397 yards, on a really good football team. So I like our quarterbacks, and they're growing and getting better, and I think they're going to play good again this week. Got to have a good week of practice.
Go over to Scott Kurtz. Scott?
Hey, Coach. Good morning. Just, going back to Saturday, obviously that loss hit heavy with the players and coaches, just like everyone does. Every game matters. But I'm just curious, what do you think that loss taught the players just that they want to use on Saturday against Jack State?
Yeah, we just got to focus in on details a little more. We did some really good things at times. We won a lot of individual matchups. We were extremely explosive. We had 10 plays of over 20 yards offensively. We lost the turnover battle, and we didn't score in the red zone, and we let them score in the red zone. And, that's really where the game swung. Obviously, that's a point of emphasis for us all the time, but it will be this week. And there's things we can fix, but the talent's there. We've got to continue to coach, continue to improve. We're 3 games into a season. We've got our whole season in front of us, and we got a big one this week.
All right, let's go over to Heath. Heath?
Yeah, hey, Coach. Using South Florida, I guess, is
as a mean. How do you feel like your team athletically stood up to South Florida? I know recruiting, y'all been pretty close many years. How do you feel athletically your team stacked up with South Florida? Many consider to be one of the best teams in the group of six.
Yeah, I think good. Heath, we won a lot of individual matchups. We were explosive offensively, like I said, 397 yards passing or whatever, and we had three and outs in a row in the middle right there when Tate's ankle got banged up before we made the change. Wish we'd have done that sooner, because if we had some things wide open, if we hit that and keep our defense off the field, I think it could have changed. I think if we scored and make it a one-score game, right there in late in the third quarter, we're right there in it. And, I think a few things here or there change, and that game goes all the way down to the last moment. And we've got to work hard to do the things that it takes to make those changes and make those plays and get those things fixed. But, Heath, I've talked to you much. I like this team. I like the talent of it. We've got to continue to grow and improve. But I like our possibilities throughout the rest of this season.
All right, Scott, you got a follow-up?
Yes, just about Jack's Day on Saturday. You mentioned just kind of the respect and knowledge you guys have for Rich Rod's staff. I'm curious, what do you think is kind of a common thread that all those teams are going to bring you when you go up against a team like that? Jack State, when they won 9 games last year. What do you think the most common thread they're going to give you guys on Saturday would be?
Well, the one common thread, with Coach Rod, and I've known him forever, man. He was one of my quarterback coaches at the Bowden Academy growing up as a kid. I've always had a lot of respect for him, but is the quarterback run game. When they're at their best, the quarterback run game is integral. From Pat White at West Virginia all the way to his Arizona teams to what he's doing at Jacksonville State. And the Huff kid they're playing right now is certainly a dual threat guy that's running and throwing, and he's the guy that gets them going. And they're a better football team than what their record shows, much like we are. And it's going to be a really, really, tough contest for us on Saturday.
Thank you. And thank you, Coach. Appreciate your time today.
Thank you.
Sure. Well, I thought our players competed for 60 minutes, was very appreciative of their efforts, but that's also expected to play hard. But, I thought our kids played right to the end. But when you play an opponent like the University of Michigan, your margin of error is very, very small. And so I think for us, it's really the details and the discipline to be able to execute for 60 minutes. And it's the fundamental, it's the mental details. And I spoke a little bit post-game about it, is, football is the greatest team sport ever. And when we really break down this game and coming off the field, kind of what hit me right away is just, the details and execution. And obviously you're going to be exposed when you play a team like Michigan. However, it's the ability to execute, to be an 11 for 11. And when we have success, we have 11 individuals all doing their job and executing as one. When we struggle, and I think that was the biggest thing when you go back and you really look at the details and you look at the game, we had 9, we had 8, we had 10 guys doing the right thing, and one guy doesn't execute their assignment. And instead of an explosive play or a big play or a first down, it's a tackle for loss. I think that one of the biggest was with Malik Hornsby on the outside zone play. We climbed to the front side backer with the running back. It's a walk-in touchdown, and he goes backside. And these are all things that we have to do a better job as coaches. We have to all be in it together, which we will. I think the other thing is situational football. Our defense did a really good job of generating 3 turnovers, 3 takeaways on interceptions, and unfortunately, we were only able to manage 3 points. So, that's complementary football. I think the other thing was situational football. We couldn't get off the field, particularly in the first half. They were able to possess the football. And so these are all things in moving forward when you play quality opponents like that. It's going to cost you. And I think the other thing, we talk about the double positive with the turnovers, but also the explosive plays. They limited us to explosive plays. We gave up some explosive plays in the run game, a lot with missed tackles in terms of fundamentals. They were bigger, stronger running backs. and we didn't run our feet on contact. We kind of bounced off them. And, when you play the backs that we're going to play, you have to be able to wrap up. And now, another great challenge, 2 top 20 opponents in a row on the road in great environments. So we have to continue to grow and elevate and get better as a football team. And I know we will, because we got a group of individuals that it's very, very important to.
And Coach, we'll start off with Jeremy Harper. Jeremy?
Hey, Coach. Red Wolves looked like they could move the ball at times against Michigan, but once they got into the red zone, had a lot of trouble. Was there anything you can learn from that Michigan game, red zone defense, that you can bring in the game against the Cyclones this week?
Well, you're exactly right. When you look at the 3 turnovers, they occurred in plus territory. And again, it gets back to the fundamental execution. The first one, we're supposed to stay with the progression read by Jalen, and he tries to throw the single. And if he reads his progression, it's an easy throw and catch for a touchdown. So it comes down to the details, the execute. The second time was the outside zone play, which I spoke about. The back goes the wrong way, doesn't lead up on the front side backer. We have everything blocked, and that's the details and execution. I think we got to continue to do a much better job as coaches of putting in those situations throughout the course of the week of practice. So when we go back and we look at the video, the plays were there, the execution was not. So those are things that we need to continue to grow and get better and moving forward.
Go over to Charles McCray. Charles?
What's going on, Coach? How you doing today,
Hey, Charles.
Like you just mentioned, another top 25 matchup going up against Iowa State. What are some of the keys you're looking for to get this dub against the Cyclones?
Well, again, a lot of respect for them. When you look at them, they're a team that does not beat themselves. They're going to make you earn. They're going to make you get everything that you get. They play a defensive structure that lends itself to not giving up big explosive plays. And they play exceptionally hard. They're extremely well coached. We talk about the discipline to execute for 60 minutes. That's kind of them. And they do a good job. The quarterback can make plays. They're big physical up front with a stable of running backs, and they're going to try to establish the line of scrimmage. And, for us, it comes down to really controlling us in terms of, the fundamentals and the details. There's a number of times we gave up explosive plays, and it gets back to team supporting team. It gets back to that 11 for 11 with which we spoke about. And we have a stun up front, and one individual goes the wrong way. And, the ball is kind of like water. It finds the holes, it finds the cracks. And all of a sudden, they're in the back end of our defense. So these are all things, this is a big day for us in terms of getting better as a football team, correcting our ills, which we will. And, but, when I look back on it, our players expected to win. I liked our mental disposition. I liked our leadership. And again, I thought our competitive character was at full display.
Thank you. And thank you, Coach. Appreciate your time today.
Okay. Have a great week.
I thought we had a chance to win that football game, obviously 14-10 at halftime. And, we just didn't play well enough in the second half in order to win. So bye weeks coming at a time where we can, get some guys healthy, get some younger guys, some better looks and some good experience this week in practice, and then get ready for a very good Bowling Green team. We're excited about another opportunity.
I appreciate that, Coach. We'll start off with Adam. Adam?
Yeah, Coach, you guys kind of get to take a breath here. You get your, 3 tough games to start the year, and then now you get the bye week. But what are some of the things that you think you're really going to work on with your team in this next week to get ready to get back on the road?
Well, I think we have to continue to develop confidence, particularly in the passing game, whether it's pass protection and or, just the overall passing game. We got to get some confidence going there. So I think that's number one. I think we have to get healthy. We do have some nicks and bruises and things like that, which have probably been well documented, but we got to get healthy. And then we need to see which one of those young guys can help us and which one of those guys can come out and really, whether it's just use their 4 games and still maintain their red shirt, or whether it's guys we're going to just completely activate and get them going, and which guys can help us on those sort of things. So I think that those are 3 things that we definitely have to get done.
Go over to Sam. Sam?
Coach, is Jason Henderson one of those guys that you're trying to get healthy? And do you feel like this bye week will allow him to kind of get back to full strength and be able to be on the field more for you guys moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we're going to do anything we can to get Jason healthy. You know, he has a huge impact, you know, on our team and those sort of things. He's a great player. He's played a lot of ball for us. Reality of it is, Koa is playing really well for him. You know, and Koa's done a nice job, and we've been excited with how Koa's been playing. So we're going to continue to try to get Jason. We're going to put him out there when he is, you know, healthy and ready, and that, you know, could be this week, it could be, you know, a couple of weeks, whatever. We're going to continue to evaluate. We've got a great plan on how we're getting him prepared for each and every game. But, you know, I owe it to him and I owe it to his family and to make sure that, you know, he is healthy when he goes out there and plays.
And then, Coach, how would you kind of assess the couple of freshman quarterbacks you guys had to play this past weekend? How would you assess their performance, and what are some things for both of them to work on throughout this bye week coming up?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, obviously we didn't throw the ball well enough, but there was a number of different factors in that. You know, whether it was protection, whether it was, you know, there was a couple plays that we probably could have made that would have changed those sort of things. So I thought they both played pretty well. You know, considering it was their first experience, it's in a sellout atmosphere against a very good football team. I thought they played pretty well. So, but you know, obviously they need to continue to play better. They need to play with the passion that comes with being young, right? So sometimes you get older, that passion gets subdued a little bit. Like, hey, that's one of their strengths right now, and they need to dive into it. So we need to continue to see that from them, and we were able to get some explosive plays, and we just need to, you know, create some of the passing game as well.
I'll go over to Adam. Adam?
Hey, Coach, obviously, you know, the stat sheet jumps out from the last game with Antoine on defense, but what have you seen in his development that maybe even in the game plan going into last week that you saw that this could be an opportunity for him to really, you know, be a game changer, but also what that kind of performance does for his confidence going forward?
I'm sorry, with who again? I'm sorry.
Antoine with the 4 sacks.
Yeah. I thought, you know, I don't know what he's going to do from his confidence level. I mean, he looked like he was playing pretty confident out there against us. I mean, you know, for us, I would tell you that one thing that I think he's doing a better job of is he's always had that spin move, and he's very good with it. But what I thought is he's using it at the right times now. When you have a spin move like that, sometimes you can use it at wrong times, lose contain, do some things like that. I thought he really did time it up and use it really well and created some unbelievable moves and things like that. They need him to be able to rush the passer, and because everyone needs a dominant pass rusher, and you know, for him to be able to do that, you know, I think though one of the other things is, you know, that secondary is good. They're good players, right? And they're able to press and take away some of those quick, easy throws. Well, that also helps the pass rushers be able to get home. And so I think Coach Marv and Coach Pry did a great job of you know, putting their guys in position to make plays.
We'll go over to Luke Creasy. Luke?
Coach, when you look at the first, you know, your first 3 games, what maybe has stood out to you the most, you know, just about the team's effort, attitude, and, you know, how do you want to see that improve, you know, as you go about the rest?
I wouldn't question our effort or our attitude, to be very honest with you. It's been more about fundamental things. You know, we did not tackle very well in the first game against South Carolina. We tackled excellent in the second game against East Carolina, and then we did not tackle again very well in this game. You know, on the offensive side of the ball, we have to strike first. We have to have violent hands. We've got to make sure that we strike first on offense and that sort of stuff. I don't mean score first. I mean actually strike the human being in front of us and be violent first. That's got to happen because we have to be able to sustain more drives, and that's probably on offense something that we have to. Whether it's running the ball, whether you know, it doesn't really matter whether you throw for 300, run for 300, whatever. We have to be able to sustain drives. And that's with, you know, getting us out. We've been in way too many 3rd and long situations, which is why our 3rd down percentage is not good enough right now. So that's where we have to improve there. On special teams, we just have to be consistent. We've done some really, really, really good things on special teams. We already have 2 block kicks. But you know, we you know, and you know, Jalen Lane is one of the best punt returners in the country. We gave him one, but other than that, we were down on him and shutting him down pretty good. We gave him one because we got out of our own lane. We got we weren't disciplined enough on that one, right? And he's a great player, so if you're not disciplined, he's going to make you pay. I'm sure he's sitting there thinking he should have scored on that. So, I think that overall we've been very good. I love our effort. I love our mentality. We've got to make sure that we combine that with the techniques and fundamentals.
All right. Thank you. And thank you, Coach. Appreciate your time today.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah. Coming off a bye week, I had a really good bye week, got an opportunity to address some fundamental issues as we continue to build toward the team we're going to be, and then also had an opportunity to get some recruiting done back this weekend. Really excited about the opportunity coming up Saturday. Gets a really good opponent. These are the opportunities and moments that you get a chance to play for when you get into college football. So obviously a really good opponent that we're getting ready to play in Ohio State, well coached, good players. The true Yankees versus the Oakland Athletics with the payroll and where we are. I'm a Moneyball fan in the movie, so I'm trying to find a way to get as many walks and no stolen bases or bunts on Saturday. Just kind of play a little small ball and see if we can Billy Bean this thing all the way to a victory. No, really good opponent, no doubt. I mean, Ohio State is a good football team. They're well coached. They've got really good players. We've got good players as well. We got a good plan coming up. It's going to take our best, and that's what you want. It's going to take our collective best, our individual best. We don't have to be superstars. This is not David and Goliath. This is not, high school versus the pros. This is a really good team versus a really good team. And when you have that, the margin for error is small. The opportunities come far and few between. And when they come, you got to capitalize on them. And if you don't, good teams run away with it. So excited about the opportunity, excited about our players' opportunity to go out and perform. Our team is excited. Our coaching staff has put a really good plan together. Now we got to go play.
All right. Thank you, Coach. Appreciate that. Let's start off with Luke Creasy. Luke?
Yeah, Coach, I know one of the things you wanted to focus on going into that off week was kind of going back to fundamentals, making sure you were sound and in what you were doing scheme wise in all three phases. Do you feel like you accomplished that? And maybe whose effort in practice stood out to you the most this week?
Well, I'll start backwards. I think the entire team's effort was really good because you look at the game and it wasn't a game of, hey, they just beat us. It was a game of, hey, we missed opportunities. They were a good team, don't get me wrong, but we missed opportunities. So it kind of gets you eager to get back and continue to work. I thought our leaders did a really good job of getting everybody back, turn the page. Hey, we got to clean up some things. As far as the fundamentals and the things that we need to clean up, I think in college football now, teams that constantly focus on fundamental improvement are going to get better as the year goes on. You got to think about it. I've got 40 of my guys in June. So as far as the opportunity to build those fundamental habits and discipline in pads against another opponent, against contact, that whole deal, you're really talking 4 weeks of camp, right? Obviously, we had summer workouts, but you're not in pads. You're doing 7-on-7s and skill development. So our focus is on just improving every week. I think the combination of improving every week and staying healthy, you're going to see teams that just get better during the year. I think the bye week came at a really good opportunity for us because it gave us a chance to kind of step back and say, okay, we've had both ends of the spectrum with an FCS school and a really good, ACC school. Okay, where do we need to improve? We get to attack that going out this week with a really good Big Ten or national team in general. Okay, where do we need to improve? And then we get into our conference slate. Don't get me wrong, you want to win every game. We get into our conference slate. Now we can start to build on all the things that we've learned in the beginning of the season, if that makes sense. I think you're going to see the teams that are focusing on schematical victories are going to be up and down. The teams that just focus on fundamental improvement are going to get better. We got 3 quarterbacks that are playing really well, but they've only been throwing to those receivers in live, true competition for a month. Well, it takes a little longer to develop those, consistent habits. You talk about, the teams and the consistency and continuity between receiver, quarterback, all those things. It takes time to develop. Now, don't get me wrong, we don't have time. But those were some of the things we worked on in the bye week. We're going to see man coverage at some point again. And it's one thing to throw man coverage against a guy with no pads on and, 7-on-7 skills and drills in the summer. And it's another thing when you get collision. It's another thing when you got to make a contested catch. You think in the summer, a guy throws the ball across the middle, we're not knocking everybody's heads off or we're not running through receivers' backs. Well, when you get to game action, that happens. You're going across the middle, you got to absorb the contact. The throws got to be, in the right spot based on the leverage. So those were the things we worked on. I'm not going to sit here and tell you, Luke, that we've mastered it and you're going to see a Patrick Mahomes type performance. But I will tell you that you will see improvement. And there's still some fundamental issues that happened in the last game that are just fundamental issues, right? A drop pass is a drop pass. You're going to have to continue to work on that. That's not something that we can say, okay, this is how you don't drop a pass, right? This is how you can get your body in better leverage. This is how you get your hands out in front of your eyes. This is how you can track the ball better. I'm not going to sit here and say we won't have another drop. Now, should we have the same drops versus the same leverage versus the same type of coverage? No, that's the areas of improvement that we want to continue to build and get better at.
All right, thank you, and thank you, Coach. Appreciate your time today.
Appreciate you guys.
Just excited to get up there to Boone, North Carolina, this Thursday, and obviously we were able to move the game last week to Thursday night, which gave us a full week, which was good. Just from coming back so late from Ohio the previous week, but excited about our week of preparation, ready to get on the plane and go.
Thank you, Coach. We'll start off with Sam. Sam?
Coach, you alluded to it, but how important was getting that game moved to Thursday night against Northwestern State to be able to have a full week essentially to prepare for the conference opener against App?
Yeah, I mean, especially after a 7:00 game in Ohio, and then having to come back that late, it was tough on us for us to come back with a short week, but we needed that time period to be able to get ready for our first conference game. So I appreciate Coach McCorkle and Dr. Urban, our athletic director, working together to get all that figured out.
And then you talk about hostile environments on the road. Obviously, App State has had a lot of success drawing fans for these midweek games. Obviously, a big game on ESPN Thursday night. How do you prepare your guys for a hostile environment like that in Boone?
I mean, we've had some crowd noise out at practice, things like that, to try to simulate some of the noise on certain downs, certain positions of the field, those type of things. It's one of those deals you really can't simulate it till you get there. We have been able to play a road game in a good environment in Athens, so kind of talking to the guys about just the feels of going on the road, getting off a plane, coming out in a different environment, student section behind you, all those type of things, and that's just part of the game day experience and kind of visualizing those things throughout the week as you prepare. So you make sure you're the most prepared you can be, right? I mean, you got to visualize everything that's out there, not just learn your plays, but understand what the environment's going to be.
Go over to Adam.
Yeah, Coach. If you've given the message to the team yet, or if you'll give it to them later this week, is there any stress of importance of how sort of, this is a conference game and just if it raises any more level of importance for you and for the team and just how the rest of the trajectory of your season is going to go?
Yeah, well, I mean, we've talked about conference play and our conference a little bit. There's things that in the past are important to point out, and there's things that really don't matter in the past. But the one thing that we pointed out is our conference has been highly competitive. This is a league full of 7-point ball games, whether you're at home or on the road. So the understanding of playing 60 minutes, understanding the ebbs and flows of the game, but also in this league, anybody's capable of beating anybody, whether it's home or away, neutral site. That's the competitive part of our league, and so we've talked a little bit about that, but not too much about things in the past, just kind of traditionally the way this league's been and what we have to be prepared for Thursday night. And obviously App's tradition. App State's had just a tremendous program for a long time. Whether it's Coach Moore, Satterfield, Eli, obviously Coach Clark. So, they've just continued to win and they have a great tradition, and we're looking forward to this opportunity.
And we'll go over to Sam.
Coach Applewhite, obviously a lot to talk about offensively from this past week, but something that really stood out to me was just the efficiency of Gio, 15 of 19, keep taking care of the ball in that matchup with Northwestern State. Was that something that you guys kind of keyed in on after the game, or was that part of your game plan going into it?
Well, just going into the game, obviously after missing Gio in week 2, we felt like, he needs to play and play a lot. He's just still a redshirt freshman. So for the snap count for him needed to be up so we could get more game experience. And, we saw what we needed to see defensively and offensively in terms of what we needed to go execute. And I was just proud to see our guys play a 60-minute ball game. I know the score got lopsided, and that wasn't our intention at all to do anything in that manner that was disrespectful. But it was great to see younger guys get in. And it's hard to tell those guys when they get in the ball game to slow down and don't score and don't make plays. But the mentality coming out of the locker room was something that we needed to see improve. We had a rough third quarter, against North Texas, another one against, against Ohio. So it was vital that we come out of the locker room and understand how to play the next 30 minutes.
And then obviously your program has some players that have played quite a few ball games, but seeing those younger guys get in, how important was it for them to get some snaps this past week and be able to establish themselves on the field and not just on practice or things like that, being able to get on the field and really participate for you guys?
Yeah, for a number of reasons. You want to get your subs, your reserves in as much as possible. There's a number of reasons. Number one, you're probably going to need them later on in the season, so you need to get them experience. Number two, they've worked hard. They want their opportunity. They want to go compete. They want to make a shot at the starting job. So you want to give them that. And then, number three, some of the guys are really young. They're really young, so they need to go out there and feel the college game, the strength, the speed. That gives you a different point of reference when you get done in January in terms of how you hit the weights and how you hit the offseason program. You can feel that, as a player. And so it's important that you get that experience and you hear how loud the music is so you're ready for it next time.
And then defensively, I don't know if you guys had a chance to watch App on Saturday, or certainly I'm sure you've looked at film by now. But how do you slow down an App State offense like what they put on tape against East Carolina, Aguilar throwing for a career high passing yards this past weekend?
Well, they're obviously they have a really good program, but Joey does a great job with the ball. Robinson, Horn, Jackson, those three outside, Eli at tight end, Castle, Kanye, 3, all those guys on the backfield. I mean, they have great skill. They do a really good job up front as well. And the quarterback, he can just make plays. He can make plays. When they're there, he hits them. When they're open, he's an accurate passer. And when they're not open, he finds a way to extend the plays. And those receivers do a really good job, tight ends as well, just escaping and trying to create lanes for him to throw the ball off schedule. And he does a great job playing off schedule. And then when you cover everybody, he can take off too. So he's a really good football player. It's going to be a challenge Thursday night.
All right, thank you, Sam. Thank you, Coach. Appreciate your time today.
Guys, appreciate it.